Jealous SIL tried to poison me at my husband's party after we announced my pregnancy. But it backfired horribly and now she's facing jail time while also getting divorced. I'm still in shock as I type this. 2 weeks ago, I was in the hospital fighting for not just my life, but my unborn baby's life as well. My husband's sister, a woman who smiled to my face for 5 years while apparently hating everything about me, tried to poison me at what should have been one of the happiest celebrations of our lives. The most surreal part? She's now sitting in jail awaiting trial, her marriage is over, and I'm finally learning the disturbing extent of her obsession with destroying my life. I've been debating whether to share this story online, but I'm still processing everything and honestly need some outside perspective. The situation is so bizarre that even my therapist seemed stunned during our last session. If this is too long, I apologize, there's just so much to unpack. For context, I, 32F, have been married to Ryan, 34M, for 5 years. We met in college, dated for 2 years, and have generally had a wonderful relationship. Ryan comes from a close-knit family, parents who've been married for 40 years, an older brother Tom, 38M, and his younger sister Melissa, 30F. When Ryan first introduced me to his family, everyone seemed welcoming except Melissa, who was polite but noticeably cold. I assumed she was just protective of her brother and would warm up eventually. Over the years, I made countless efforts to bond with Melissa. Invited her for coffee, shopping trips, tried to find common interests, nothing seemed to work. She'd accept invitations but would often cancel last minute or show up and barely engage. Ryan noticed her behavior too but chalked it up to her just being Melissa. According to him, she'd always been somewhat difficult and temperamental, even as a child. His parents often made excuses for her, saying she was sensitive and just needs extra understanding. Things got more tense after our wedding. Melissa got engaged to her boyfriend Alex about 3 months after our wedding, and I genuinely tried to be supportive. I offered to help with wedding planning, sent her inspiration photos, and even suggested vendors we had liked. Each attempt was met with eye rolls or passive-aggressive comments like, "Well, some of us don't have daddy's money to throw around on weddings." For the record, my father is a high school teacher. We paid for most of our wedding ourselves. Melissa and Alex's wedding was interesting. She chose a dress remarkably similar to mine, selected the same first dance song we had used, and even copied several unique elements from our ceremony. Ryan thought it was flattering that she had liked our choices so much, but it felt weirdly competitive to me. Still, I kept my observations to myself, not wanting to create family drama. Fast forward to this year. After 3 years of trying, several miscarriages, and finally a successful round of IVF, I became pregnant. We were cautiously optimistic but waited until I was 14 weeks along before telling family. Ryan's parents were ecstatic, this would be their first grandchild. Tom and his wife sent us adorable baby gifts. Melissa's reaction was a tight smile and a quick congratulations before changing the subject. 3 weeks ago, Ryan's parents decided to host a dinner to celebrate the pregnancy. Nothing huge, just immediate family and a few close friends. I was 18 weeks pregnant at this point and finally starting to show a little. The morning of the dinner, I had a prenatal appointment where we learned we were having a little girl. We were over the moon and decided to announce the gender at the dinner. When we arrived at his parents' house, Melissa and Alex were already there. She barely acknowledged me, which wasn't unusual, but what struck me as odd was how attentive she suddenly became during dinner preparation. Melissa has never been interested in cooking, according to family stories, yet there she was, insisting on helping her mother in the kitchen, particularly with the drinks and my food portions. During dinner, Ryan stood up and announced we were having a girl. His parents teared up, everyone clapped, and Melissa, she just stared at me with this expression I can't quite describe. Hollow? Angry? Something deeply unsettling. After dinner, Melissa brought out a special mocktail she had prepared just for me, a mom-to-be celebration drink, she called it. I remember thinking it was uncharacteristically thoughtful of her. The drink had a slightly bitter aftertaste, but I assumed it was just the cranberry juice or some herbal component. I thanked her and drank about half of it. About 20 minutes later, I started feeling intensely nauseous. Initially, I brushed it off as pregnancy-related, but then came the abdominal cramping, sharp and frightening. I excused myself to the bathroom where I started vomiting violently. Ryan knocked on the door, concerned, and I managed to tell him something was very wrong. The pain was becoming unbearable, and I was terrified for the baby. Ryan helped me out of the bathroom, announced we needed to go to the hospital, and that's when I noticed something strange. Melissa wasn't surprised or concerned. While everyone else was frantically grabbing keys and phones, she was calmly sipping her wine, watching the scene unfold. At the hospital, the doctors worked quickly. Blood tests revealed elevated levels of a substance called thallium, a highly toxic heavy metal once used in rat poison that's now banned in most countries. They immediately began treatment and monitoring the baby. The doctor said if we'd waited even an hour longer to come in, the outcome could have been devastating for both me and my daughter. While I was being treated, Ryan called his family to update them. His mother mentioned that Melissa had suddenly left the dinner with a migraine shortly after we departed for the hospital. Something clicked for Ryan then: the special drink, Melissa's strange behavior, her sudden exit. Ryan shared his suspicions with the doctors, who notified the police given the nature of my poisoning. When officers went to question Melissa, they found more than they bargained for. In her home office, they discovered a journal detailing her apparent hatred for me, information about various poisons, including thallium, and most disturbingly, what appeared to be a multi-year plan to remove me from the family. They also found searches on her computer about poisoning pregnant women, how to cause miscarriages, and how to acquire industrial chemicals. There were even notes about my routine, where I got coffee, what grocery store I shopped at, what time I usually went running in our neighborhood park. The police arrested Melissa that night. When they informed Alex about what they'd found, he was completely blindsided. According to Ryan's parents, Alex had no idea about any of this and immediately moved out of their home, filing for divorce within days. During police interrogation, Melissa apparently broke down and confessed everything. The full story, as we've learned it, is disturbing beyond anything I could have imagined. Melissa had apparently been obsessed with Ryan's and my relationship from the beginning. Not because she was protective of her brother, but because she believed I had stolen the life she deserved. She told investigators that she had always been the special one in the family, and my arrival had diverted attention away from her. But there was much more to it. Turns out Melissa had been sabotaging my life in small ways for years. She admitted to creating fake social media profiles to send me disturbing messages, calling my workplace anonymously with false complaints, damaging my car on 2 occasions that we had attributed to parking lot incidents, sending false information to our wedding vendors that caused several last-minute issues, and most horrifically, she strongly implied that she may have been responsible for at least one of my previous miscarriages by tampering with food she brought to a family gathering. The police are still investigating these claims, particularly the last one, which is too painful to even process right now. What struck the detectives most, according to what they've shared with us, was her complete lack of remorse. She apparently told them that she knew it was her turn to be happy and that my pregnancy announcement had pushed her over the edge because it should have been her giving the family their first grandchild. The toxicology report confirmed that the thallium was in the mocktail she had prepared specifically for me. The amount was calculated to cause serious harm, possibly death. The only reason the poisoning wasn't more severe was that I had only consumed about half the drink before becoming ill. As for me and the baby, we're okay, thankfully. The doctors were able to administer the antidote quickly enough, and our daughter shows no signs of distress or developmental issues from the poisoning. I'll need regular checkups throughout the remainder of my pregnancy, but the medical team is optimistic. Ryan is completely devastated. He's been my rock through all of this, but I know he's struggling to reconcile the sister he thought he knew with the person who tried to kill his wife and unborn child. His parents are similarly shattered. They keep calling and texting, alternating between tearful apologies and bewildered questions about how they could have missed the signs of their daughter's instability. Tom, Ryan's brother, has been incredibly supportive. He's made it clear that he stands with us and has even offered to testify about other concerning behaviors he had observed from Melissa over the years but had dismissed as quirks. Alex, Melissa's soon-to-be ex-husband, reached out to us last week. He was clearly traumatized, explaining that while Melissa had always been somewhat jealous of me, he had no idea about the extent of her obsession or her plans. He apologized profusely, though of course none of this was his fault, and shared that in retrospect, there had been red flags in their marriage that he had ignored. Melissa is currently being held without bail, facing charges of attempted murder, attempted feticide, stalking, and several other serious offenses. Her lawyer is apparently exploring an insanity defense, but the detailed planning and journal entries make that a challenging argument. According to our victim advocate, the hardest part of all this, beyond the physical trauma, is processing the years of fake smiles and hidden hatred. Every family dinner, every holiday, every baby shower she attended for other relatives, she was there, seething with resentment and plotting ways to hurt me. The psychological weight of knowing someone hated me that much while pretending otherwise is almost harder to bear than the poisoning itself. Ryan and I have started therapy, both individually and as a couple. We've temporarily moved in with my parents in another town, both for safety and peace of mind. Ryan's parents want to be supportive but understand we need space right now. They've agreed to also seek therapy to process their own feelings and come to terms with who their daughter really is. The trial won't begin for several months, and I'm dreading having to testify, especially while navigating the later stages of pregnancy. Our lawyer assures us that the evidence is overwhelming and that a plea deal is likely, but nothing is certain. Sometimes at night, I lie awake feeling my daughter kick and wonder how someone could have so much hatred in their heart that they would try to harm an innocent baby. I wonder if there were signs I missed, if I could have somehow diffused Melissa's hatred before it reached this point. Ryan assures me there's nothing I could have done, that her issues run far deeper than any particular interaction between us, but it's hard not to question everything. The other night, Ryan found me sobbing in our nursery, half-painted walls surrounding me. What if she had succeeded? I kept asking him. What if we had lost our daughter? What if I had died? He held me for hours, and we cried together over what could have been, what almost was. In a strange way, this horrible experience has brought certain clarity. Life is incredibly fragile. The people we think we know may be wearing masks. And family, true family, is defined by love and protection, not merely by blood relation. The baby shower Ryan's family had been planning has been cancelled. Instead, my friends have organized a small gathering next month, just positive, supportive people who have been there for us through this nightmare. We're focusing on welcoming our daughter into a world of love, not dwelling on the darkness that almost took her from us. I'm sharing this story partly as therapy for myself, partly as a warning that sometimes the danger isn't from strangers but from those closest to us. The police officers told us that family poisonings are more common than people realize, often disguised as food poisoning or unexplained illnesses. For those wondering about red flags to watch for, our detective mentioned unusual interest in your food or drink from someone who has never shown such interest before, insistence on preparing or serving something specifically for you, a history of jealousy or competitive behavior, strange comments about illness, pregnancy complications, or deserving certain life events, unexplained health issues that occur only around certain people. I wish I had recognized these signs earlier, but hindsight offers clarity that real life rarely provides. As I prepare to bring my daughter into this world, I'm working on releasing the anger and fear. I don't want her to be born into an environment of trauma and suspicion. Ryan and I talk to her every night, promising her safety, love, and a family, albeit smaller than originally planned, that will protect her fiercely. To any expectant mothers reading this, trust your instincts. If something tastes off, if someone's behavior seems strange, if you feel unwell after eating or drinking something, seek medical attention immediately. Don't worry about seeming paranoid or dramatic. Your priority is your baby's safety. To anyone dealing with difficult family members, it's okay to maintain boundaries. Ryan and I spent years accommodating Melissa's increasingly hostile behavior because she's family. Never again will we prioritize family peace over our own well-being. And to anyone who, like me, has experienced betrayal from someone you should have been able to trust, it's not your fault. Some people's darkness has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own broken perception of the world. I don't know what the future holds for us, for our daughter, for Ryan's relationship with his parents, for how we'll explain to our child why she doesn't have an Aunt Melissa. But I do know that we survived, literally and figuratively. And sometimes, survival itself is a victory worth celebrating. Thank you for reading this incredibly long post. Writing it out has been cathartic. I may not respond to all comments, as I'm still processing everything, but knowing others have heard our story somehow makes it feel less isolating. TLDR, my sister-in-law poisoned me with thallium after we announced we're having a baby girl, apparently due to years of jealousy and resentment. She's now in jail awaiting trial, her husband is divorcing her, and my family is left to pick up the pieces while I focus on safely delivering our daughter. Edit 1. Wow, I didn't expect this to get so much attention. Thank you all for the supportive comments. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, we have a restraining order in place, though it feels somewhat redundant with Melissa in jail. 2. Ryan's parents are not trying to excuse her behavior or get us to forgive her. They're genuinely horrified and are respecting our need for space right now. 3. We've installed security cameras at our home and my parents' place, just as a precaution in case she had any accomplices we don't know about. 4. For those asking about Alex, Melissa's husband, he appears to be as blindsided as everyone else. The police investigated him thoroughly and found no evidence he knew anything about her plans. 5. To those suggesting this is fake, I wish it were. I understand it sounds like something from a movie, but sadly, real life can be stranger and more terrible than fiction sometimes. Edit 2. Some people have asked about my health now. The doctors say I've responded well to treatment, though I'll need monitoring throughout the pregnancy. Baby girl is developing normally according to our last ultrasound, which brought us to tears of relief. I'm still experiencing some neurological symptoms, tremors, occasional numbness, that may take months to fully resolve, but they're improving gradually. Edit 3. Thank you for all the support and awards. I'm overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers during this difficult time. I may not be able to respond to more comments as this has been emotionally draining to revisit, but please know I'm reading them and they mean so much to me right now.